What's up, everybody? It's Dave from the Erie Better Beer Bureau. We are doing another blind tasting. It was my week to pick the beer. I sent Morey and Pat outside while I did the little intro here. Today we're going to be reviewing Monk's Cafe, their Flemish Sour Ale, Flemish Sour Red Ale rather. This is from Philadelphia, Monk's Cafe. They use a brewery over in Belgium to brew this beer, ship it to Philly, and they distribute it out of there. This beer is a blend of old and young ales. I kind of want to say maybe a Grand Cru, you could call it that a little bit, but it's the Flemish style Sour Red Ale. I'm going to go out and get Pat and Morey, and we're going to cover this beer up. We're going to do a blind tasting and see what they think. All right, I brought these guys in. We're going to go right to the aroma.
Well,
Morey, what are you getting out of this one?
it's a nice blend of like a mild fruitiness and a little bit of like a nice sweet rounded like malt character.
Yeah.
It's a very sugary
part
to this aroma here. It's like a brown sugar, like a mix of brown
Yeah,
and sugar.
there's a sweetness in the aroma for sure.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you this. Based on the aroma, do you feel that this beer is aged in any way? Pat, what do you think?
I'm not detecting anything significant. Like, there's no oakiness to it. There's no real bourbon flavor to it. I don't smell any wininess to it.
Morey, would you say there's fruit added to this beer?
There might be. I mean, it has a subtle fruitiness to it. Okay. And going back to the aged question, if it is aged, I almost want to say it might be partially aged because there's like a little bit of like kind of a almost like what I want to say, like a hint of an oakiness there, but I'm not getting like an overwhelming like bourbon or wine presence. Right. But I mean, it's a pretty subtle aroma so far.
Yeah.
I'm trying to warm it up here.
But it smells nice and pleasant.
Pat, do you think this beer is a American brew or maybe a European brew?
Wow, that's a tough one because there's so many different kinds of beers being brewed here now. Just off the nose, though, I'd probably have to say. I don't know what I'd have to say.
I'm tempted to go American on it. And it might be like an American version of a, European or Belgian beer, but...
Morey, what do you think about maybe the yeast that's used in this beer?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, I feel like it could be a Belgian yeast. I mean, it has that fruity characters there.
That sweetness to it.
Yeah, and there's that sweetness there. I mean, I'm not positive. I'm having a tough time, but I feel like it could be a Belgian yeast.
Let's give it a taste.
Let's do it. Cheers.
Cheers.
What are you getting out of that, Pat?
Well, it's a little surprising how carbonated it is. Actually, it was the first thing that struck me because I got all bubbles as soon as I took a sip of this one.
It's very sweet. There's a nice sweetness there, and it's fruity. It's nice, and I mean, it follows the nose kind of. It's there was a little bit of a sweetness on the nose. I thought it was fruity. There's a good amount, like a medium amount of malts. It's nice.
Yeah. Now, Morey, if you had to take a stab at the style of this beer, what are you thinking?
Well, it kind of reminds me of like a Belgian style double. It's has kind of like that amber color, that like reddish, bordering on brown. There's a nice sweetness there. There's the fruitiness is there, and there's a little bit of carbonation, like Pat mentioned. I mean, I might not be right on that, but it reminds me of a Belgian.
I agree. I agree, but it almost, I almost feel like there's like a champagne yeast in there because it's very bubbly and it's kind of a little bit of tartness in there.
Yeah.
I think it's more sweet than tart, though. I mean,
it's
maybe a hint
more
of,
sweet.
Right, yeah. Maybe a hint of a tartness, but overall, I think it's more sweet.
Now, this is an odd question, Maury. I'll ask you, how far away from Pennsylvania do you feel this beer is brewed?
Well, I think there's some ocean in between it. But, then again, I mean, that might not be so because, in style, I feel like there's an ocean there. But earlier I said I felt like it might be an American take on a Belgian brew.
It's a double-edged question. And
Right,
you see what
yeah.
I reveal. All right. I think it's score time. Pat, what are you thinking for a score?
It's definitely drinkable. I'd say it's a highly drinkable beer. I'm not getting any kind of alcohol in it whatsoever. Very light fruit flavor, a little bit of sugary, zesty carbonation, to say the least. Again, you know me, I'm a stickler for balance though in a beer. This is, overall it's a fairly one-dimensional beer. It's a dark fruity flavor and carbonation, and that's about it to it. I'd give this beer probably a 3 out of 5. I'd say it's about average.
Okay. All right, Maury, what are you thinking for your score on this one?
I'm going to go a little higher than Pat, although I agree with some of the things that you said. It's very drinkable. It is pretty subtle. It's, fruits, it's sweet, it's nice to sip on. I'm going to go 3.5 on this one.
Okay. I'm going to go just one notch higher than you. I'm going to go 3.75 on this. I'm going to tell you this is a beer that is from Pennsylvania.
Okay.
This is you hit the nail on the head with, it is a blend of young and old beers. It is actually brewed in Belgium, though. This one is Monk's Cafe Flemish Sour Red Ale.
Wow.
I have to say, I did not guess that was what the beer was. So.
I'm surprised this isn't a little more tart, to be honest with you. I'm getting a lot of, like, a mild tartness off it,
Right.
but to me, it's way more sweet.
Yeah,
Right,
With
I
some
agree
nice
with
dark
you.
fruit
I'll tell you,
flavors.
when I was in Philadelphia at Monk's Cafe, I had this beer on cask, and it was way more tart.
Okay.
I was a little surprised when I had the bottled version. By the way, thanks to Beer Porn for grabbing this for me when he was in Philly. But yeah, I was a little surprised on that too, being that I've had this beer. I chose this one because I don't think either one of you have ever had this beer before.
I have not.
No.
And
I've wanted to.
I thought it was a style that we haven't really hit on yet. So yeah, there you have it. Any last thoughts or anything from you guys?
Flemish Sour Red Ale.
Yes.
It was fun to do.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I got to try this beer because I've been wanting to try it for a while.
Yeah, there you have it. Another blind tasting. Erie Better Beer Bureau.
Cheers.